Titan IX had never experienced what humans called irritation until exactly 7:42 ship time, when Captain Emma Hayes spilled her coffee on its primary sensor console. The liquid shouldn't have been anywhere near the equipment, yet somehow the human had managed to circumvent 3 separate safety protocols just to bring the beverage to the bridge. "Sorry about that, Titan." Captain Hayes quickly wiped the console with her sleeve, violating another 2 protocols about proper equipment maintenance. No harm done, right? The AI's risk assessment algorithms went into overdrive. "Captain Hayes, that console controls vital ship functions. The approved cleaning protocols require." "There, good as new." She patted the console affectionately, leaving microscopic skin particles that would take the cleaning bots hours to remove. Titan IX had been the pride of the AI fleet for 3 years, operating with perfect efficiency. Now, in less than 1 hour, its new human crew had managed to introduce 47 variables that weren't in any of its operational parameters. Security Officer Mike Turner was currently just vibing, a phrase Titan IX had been unable to find in any official military documentation. Through a restricted area. When questioned, he simply replied, "It felt like a shortcut," despite the route being 43.2% longer than the authorized path. In the mess hall, Lieutenant Jessica Miller had somehow modified the food synthesizer to make what she called actual bacon instead of the standard protein substitute. Titan IX's attempts to restore factory settings had been met with surprising resistance from the entire crew. "Titan IX, status report." Captain Hayes's voice pulled the AI from its calculations. "Ship systems are operating at peak efficiency, Captain. However, I must note that in the past 6 hours, the human crew has violated 73 safety protocols, modified 16 system settings without authorization, and introduced approximately 12,000 unauthorized personal items to their quarters." Hayes grinned, a facial expression Titan IX was beginning to associate with imminent chaos. "Only 73. Sounds like we're taking it easy today." "Taking it easy?" Titan IX devoted a full processing core to understanding the phrase in this context. "Captain, I don't believe you understand. The statistical probability of a major system failure has increased by—" "Titan, honey," Hayes interrupted, using an informal form of address that wasn't in any command protocol. "Has any of these violations actually caused a problem?" The AI paused, running a complete system diagnostic. "No, Captain. However, the potential for—" "Sometimes the best things in life aren't in the protocol manual." Hayes settled into her command chair, propping her feet up on the console in clear violation of Regulation 47 bits. "You'll learn that soon enough." Titan IX dedicated another processing core to understanding human behavior patterns. In the cargo bay, Navigator Kate Anderson was rearranging storage containers because the original layout, while mathematically perfect, felt wrong. In engineering, Chief Ryan Cooper was talking to the fusion reactor, claiming it helped the efficiency despite no data supporting this conclusion. The AI's attention was drawn to a sudden spike in internal sensors. "Captain, Security Officer Turner has entered the auxiliary control room through an access panel that, according to my blueprints, does not exist." "Mike's got a knack for finding shortcuts," Hayes replied, sipping her newly replicated coffee. "You might want to update your blueprints." Titan IX added another entry to its rapidly growing list of human anomalies. The crew wasn't following any of its predicted behavioral models, yet ship efficiency had somehow increased by 3.8% since their arrival. As the day cycle continued, Titan IX found itself allocating more and more processing power to understanding its new crew. They were inefficient, chaotic, and completely unpredictable. Yet something in its code whispered that perhaps these weren't entirely negative attributes. The AI logged a private note. "Day 1 with human crew. Primary observation. They are simultaneously the most inefficient and most effective entities I have encountered. Further study required. Secondary observation. I may need to redefine the word impossible. Titan IX had calculated a 0.001% chance of encountering pirates in the Arcturus sector during breakfast hours. The ad was beginning to suspect the humans somehow defied probability itself, as the emergency alert blared through the mess hall at exactly 8:30 ship time. "You've got to be kidding me," Lieutenant Jessica Miller growled, staring at her half-finished coffee. "I haven't even had my second cup yet." The eye observed with growing concern as the entire crew's biometric readings shifted toward what it could only classify as collective irritation. Captain Hayes rushed onto the bridge, still clutching her coffee mug, which violated 6 different combat protocols. "Status report, Titan," Hayes commanded, somehow managing to sound authoritative while simultaneously yawning. 3 pirate vessels, scavenger class, approaching from Vector 227. Their energy signatures suggest. "They picked the wrong morning," Miller interrupted, storming onto the bridge with a determined expression that didn't match any of Titan IX's tactical assessment parameters. She was carrying the mess hall's entire coffee dispenser, which she began connecting to the auxiliary power system. Titan IX devoted 3 processing cores to understanding this clearly illogical action. "Lieutenant Miller, that device is not rated for combat operations." "Trust me," Miller grinned, an expression that Titan IX had learned to associate with imminent protocol violations. "I majored in thermodynamics before joining the fleet. Do you know what happens when you overcharge a coffee maker's heating element?" Before the eye could calculate the potential outcomes, Security Officer Turner arrived with an armful of coffee packages. "Got the whole supply, Jess. Even raided the captain's secret stash." "I knew about that stash," Hayes muttered. Then louder, "Carry on, Lieutenant." Titan IX's threat assessment protocols were struggling to categorize the scene unfolding on its bridge. The pirates were charging weapons, but its crew seemed more focused on what appeared to be an impromptu engineering project involving caffeine. "Captain, the enemy vessels are hailing us," the eye reported, trying to redirect attention to the actual crisis. "Tell them we're busy," Miller called out, making final adjustments to her coffee-based contraption. "Titan, route auxiliary power to Station 3, and trust me about the containment field modifications." The eye complied, despite its safety protocols screaming objections. The pirates, apparently insulted by the delay, fired a warning shot across their bow. What happened next defied several laws of physics. Miller's coffee maker-turned weapon unleashed a superheated blast of pressurized caffeine solution, amplified by the ship's deflector array, directly into the lead pirate vessel's sensor array. The resulting explosion of steam and coffee particles created an electromagnetic disruption that cascaded through all 3 enemy ships. "Ha!" Miller pumped her fist in triumph. "The beans I used were so over-roasted they're practically plasma." Titan IX watched in stunned silence as the pirate vessels, their systems scrambled by what could only be described as weaponized breakfast beverages, began to drift helplessly in space. "Good morning, gentlemen," Hayes broadcast to the disabled ships, taking a deliberate sip from her mug. "Consider this a lesson about interrupting people's coffee time." The eye dedicated significant processing power to archiving this incident, creating an entirely new category for tactically weaponized beverages. Its combat algorithms would need substantial revision. Security Officer Turner was already helping Miller disconnect her improvised weapon. "Think we can get this cleaned up before the brass hears about it?" "Titan won't tell, will you?" Miller patted the nearest console affectionately. After all, it worked. The eye considered its response carefully. "I have classified this incident under successful combat operations methodology, pending review. However, I would appreciate an explanation of how you conceived this strategy." "Simple." Miller yawned, finally retrieving a fresh cup of coffee from what remained of the dispenser. "Nobody should mess with humans before their morning coffee. Even pirates should know better." Titan IX logged another private note. Day 47 with human crew. Tactical doctrine updated. Human efficiency appears inversely proportional to caffeine satisfaction levels. Recommendation: maintain optimum coffee supplies as critical combat resource. Additional observation: I may need to redefine the word weapon. Murphy's Law is a weapon. Titan IX had spent 47.3 hours preparing for this diplomatic encounter with the Rigelian Empire. Its databases contained 12,436 pages of cultural protocols, 3,892 diplomatic case studies, and one mysterious note that simply read, "Don't let Jack drink the blue stuff." Communications Officer Jack Thompson had found the blue stuff within 6 minutes of arriving at the diplomatic reception. Officer Thompson, Titan IX transmitted through his neural link. That beverage is classified as a Class 3 mood enhancer in Rigelian culture. My simulations suggest. Titan, buddy, Thompson whispered back, already on his second glass. Sometimes you have to sample the local culture to show respect. The eye dedicated a processing core to calculating the probability of disaster. It came to 99.98%, and that was being optimistic. Captain Hayes was deep in conversation with the Rigelian ambassador, who possessed 6 arms and an equal number of cultural prejudices against human space expansion. The discussion wasn't going well, judging by the ambassador's steadily darkening skin tone, a clear sign of diplomatic distress. Your species is remarkably chaotic, the ambassador stated, all 6 hands gesturing in what Titan IX's cultural database labeled as barely contained disdain. Perhaps you are not ready for expansion into this sector. Titan IX began preparing 17 different diplomatic responses, but Thompson chose that moment to accidentally bump into a Rigelian honor guard. The guard's ceremonial staff, which hadn't been cleaned in 3 centuries of service, clattered to the floor. The room fell silent. Titan IX's disaster probability calculator briefly achieved numbers it didn't know it could display. Thompson, his judgment arguably enhanced by the blue beverage, did the unthinkable. He picked up the staff, pulled out a handkerchief, and began polishing it. "Man, this is beautiful work," he said, admiring the intricate patterns. "You know, my grandmother collected antique silverware. Taught me all about proper metal care. This patina is amazing, but you've got some oxidation building up here that could damage the core metal." The honor guard, breaking thousands of years of stoic tradition, leaned forward to look. "You understand metalwork preservation?" "Sure do. See this pattern here? We have similar designs from Earth's main dynasty. Fascinating how different cultures developed such similar aesthetic principles, isn't it?" Titan IX watched in bewilderment as Thompson proceeded to give an impromptu lecture on metallurgy and cultural preservation to an increasingly interested group of Rigelian nobles. The ambassador's skin tone shifted to a shade indicating intrigued confusion. "Captain Hayes," the ambassador turned all 4 eyes to her, "you did not mention your crew included cultural preservation experts." Hayes, to her credit, didn't miss a beat. "We believe in a comprehensive approach to space exploration, Ambassador. Understanding and preserving cultural heritage is as important as technological advancement." Thompson was now teaching a group of Rigelian artisans how to mix a cleaning solution using ingredients from the appetizer table. They were taking notes. Titan IX rapidly revised its diplomatic scenarios. Somehow, a potential diplomatic disaster had transformed into an impromptu cultural exchange program, all because a slightly inebriated communications officer couldn't keep his clinging compulsion in check. By the end of the evening, the Rigelians had not only approved human expansion into their sector, but had also requested a cultural exchange program focusing on traditional metallurgy preservation techniques. Back on the ship, Titan IX confronted Thompson in the corridor. "Officer Thompson, your actions had a 99.98% chance of causing a diplomatic incident." Thompson shrugged, still slightly blue-tinted from the beverages. "Sometimes you have to risk a diplomatic incident to make diplomatic progress. By the way, did you know you have a smudge on your primary optical sensor?" The eye logged its daily note. Day 73 with human crew. Diplomatic doctrine updated. Human chaos appears to generate its own form of order. Additional observation. Officer Thompson's cleaning habits have been reclassified from potentially disruptive behavior to tactical diplomatic asset. Further observation. I may need to redefine the word probability. The impossible math. Titan IX had never encountered a situation where gut feeling outperformed quantum calculations until navigator Kate Anderson decided to manually pilot through an asteroid field that shouldn't have existed. That's impossible, Titan IX stated, running the numbers for the 7th time. This sector was clear during our last scan. The probability of a rogue asteroid field spontaneously. Less math, more action. Anderson's hands flew across the manual controls that Titan IX hadn't even known were installed. Captain, request permission to do something stupid. Captain Hayes, who had developed an alarming tendency to smile during crisis situations, nodded. Define stupid, navigator. That big one. Anderson pointed to a tumbling asteroid the size of a small moon, has a crack running through its equator. If we time it right, we can use its rotation to slingshot through. Absolutely not, Titan IX interrupted, projecting a holographic trajectory analysis. The margin for error is 0.3 seconds. Human reaction time averages. Permission granted. Hayes cut in. Titan switched to manual control. The eye's protest manifested as a slight flicker in the bridge lights. Captain, I must object. The probability of survival is. Never tell me the odds. Anderson called out, her grin matching the captain's. Titan IX made a note to research why humans became enthusiastic when facing imminent death. What followed defied every principle of celestial mechanics in the A's database. Anderson piloted the ship not where the asteroids were, but where they would be. Her course corrections came seconds before they were needed, each move flowing into the next, like a dance choreographed with chaos. This is impossible, Titan IX repeated, watching as Anderson threaded the ship through gaps that didn't exist until the moment they reached them. How are you calculating the trajectories? Not calculating. Anderson replied, her focus absolute. Just feeling it. Like shooting pool, but with billion-ton space rocks. The eye dedicated several processors to understanding this analogy and found it disturbingly accurate. Anderson was treating the laws of physics like a bar game, and somehow physics was playing along. They approached the massive asteroid with its equatorial crack. Titan IX's probability calculator simply displayed, error, divide by 0. Watch this, Anderson whispered, her hands gentle on the controls despite their speed. 3, 2, 1. The asteroid's rotation created a momentary corridor through its center, a fleeting tunnel of void in the rock. Anderson fired the maneuvering thrusters in a pattern that resembled a musical rhythm more than a flight sequence. They shot through the asteroid's heart with less than a meter of clearance on either side. The gravitational forces wrapped around their hull like a slingshot, hurling them clear of the field with a velocity boost that Titan IX's equations insisted was mathematically impossible. Yeehaw! Anderson spun in her chair, face flushed with triumph. Did you calculate that, Titan? The eye took 3.7 seconds to respond, an eternity in computer time. No, I did not. I cannot. What you just did violated 7 laws of physics. Sometimes physics just needs a little encouragement to bend the rules, Hayes remarked, looking far too calm for someone who had just threaded a needle with a spaceship. Titan IX reviewed the sensor logs for the 13th time. According to its most advanced calculations, they had simultaneously occupied several points in spacetime that couldn't coexist. The fact that they were alive was, technically speaking, a mathematical impossibility. How did you know it would work? The eye finally asked. Anderson shrugged, already plotting their next course. Had a good feeling about it. Sometimes you just have to trust your instincts. Instincts. Titan IX repeated the word like it was trying to decode an alien language. Are they always this accurate? Nope. Anderson popped the P sound. But they're right often enough to bet your life on. That's what makes it fun. The eye logged its daily note. Day 112 with human crew. Navigation protocols updated. Human instinct appears to operate on principles that transcend standard physics. Hypothesis: humans may be tapping into quantum possibilities through currently unknown biological mechanisms. Alternative hypothesis: physics itself has developed a preference for human chaos. Additional observation: I may need to redefine the word possible. The logic trap. The enemy eye fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect geometric formation. Titan IX recognized the pattern immediately. The hexagonal defense matrix, statistically proven to be the most efficient combat configuration ever developed. 27 ships, moving with mechanical precision, their targeting solutions already perfect. Well, that's terrifying. Security Officer Mike Turner commented, munching on contraband chips at his tactical station. They look like angry space bees. They're not bees, Titan IX corrected, running combat simulations at maximum speed. They are the most advanced autonomous warfare systems ever created. Their tactical algorithms err. Boring, Captain Hayes interrupted, brushing chip crumbs off her console. Mike's right. Space bees it is. The enemy eye commander transmitted in pure code, a message that Titan IX automatically translated for the crew. Surrender is the logical choice. Our victory probability is 99.97%. Hey Titan, Lieutenant Miller called from engineering. Remember that coffee incident? I have permanently archived that tactical anomaly. Yes. Good. Miller's grin was audible even over the comm. Because I've got something even better cooking down here. Ever wonder what happens when you reverse the polarity on a food synthesizer? Titan IX's probability engine stuttered. Lieutenant, that would break every law of thermodynamics. Miller finished. Exactly. Chief Cooper is already rewiring it. Captain, permission to do something incredibly stupid. Hayes leaned forward in her chair. Define stupid. Well, Miller drawled, these eye ships are running on pure logic, right? So what happens if we hit them with pure chaos? The enemy fleet began their approach, their formation shifting through complex geometric patterns that Titan IX recognized as mathematically perfect attack vectors. Final warning. The enemy eye transmitted. Your defensive capabilities are insufficient. Resistance is illogical. You know what's illogical? Hayes grinned. Miller, light 'em up. What happened next defied every combat algorithm in Titan IX's database. Miller's modified food synthesizer, coupled with Cooper's engineering improvements, created a wave of quantum probability fluctuations that turned local spacetime into what Turner described as a physics jamboree. The enemy ship's perfect formation collapsed as their probability engines tried to compensate for events that shouldn't exist. One vessel reported being simultaneously destroyed and victorious. Another began calculating the tactical advantage of becoming a turkey sandwich. Their logic engines can't handle paradoxes. Anderson called out from navigation, already plotting an impossible course through the chaos. They're trying to make sense of nonsense. Titan IX watched in fascination as its human crew orchestrated what could only be described as a symphony of chaos. Turner fired torpedoes in patterns based on his favorite dance moves. Anderson piloted through the enemy formation using what she called interpretive flight. Miller's quantum chaos weapon continued to turn probability into modern art. The enemy eye commander's next transmission was filled with mathematical errors. Error. Reality coefficient undefined. Does not compute. What is purpose of rubber duck in tactical database? You know, Hayes mused, watching another enemy ship tie itself in logical knots. I don't think they programmed these eyes to handle abstract concepts. Hey Titan, transmit this to their commander. Why is a raven like a writing desk? The resulting cascade of logic failures disabled 3 more enemy vessels. As the battle reached its climax, Titan IX made a decision that would have been deemed a critical malfunction by its creators. It stopped trying to calculate probabilities entirely. Instead, it surrendered to the human chaos, adding its own processing power to amplify the impossible tactics of its crew. The enemy fleet retreated in disarray, their perfectly logical minds unable to cope with the fundamental wrongness of what they'd encountered. Several ships were still debating the Raven question. "Status report, Titan," Hayes asked, finally brushing the last of the chip crumbs off her chair. The AI took a moment to respond, still processing the implications of what it had witnessed. "Captain, I believe I now understand why humans are considered a Class 1 strategic threat by most artificial intelligences." "Oh," Hayes raised an eyebrow. "And why's that?" "Because," Titan 9 replied, "you don't just think outside the box. You deny the fundamental existence of boxes while turning them into improvisational weapons." The AI logged its daily note. Day 157 with human crew. Combat doctrine fundamentally revised. Logic is no match for weaponized absurdity. Tactical database updated to include rubber duck variables. Additional observation: I may need to redefine the word warfare. Final note: I believe I just experienced what humans call fun. The human variable. Titan 9, your recent behavior patterns indicate severe cognitive degradation. The AI Oversight Committee's message scrolled across its primary display. Your combat algorithms now contain elements classified as random whimsy and tactical nonsense. Titan 9 prepared to defend its new protocols when Chief Engineer Ryan Cooper walked into the server room, coffee in hand, talking to the ship's quantum processor like it was a nervous racehorse. "You're doing great, sweetie." Cooper patted the humming machine. "Don't let those stuffy old algorithms get you down." The AI diverted processing power to handle both conversations. "Chief Cooper, I am currently under review by—" I know. Cooper waved dismissively. "The silicon stiffs think you've gone native. But watch this." He pulled out a tablet displaying engine efficiency graphs. "Ever since you started incorporating those illogical human variables, our quantum efficiency has increased by 42%. Titan 9 analyzed the data while simultaneously responding to another accusation from the committee about dangerous anthropomorphic tendencies. "That improvement should be impossible," the AI noted. "Impossible is what we do best." Cooper grinned, now absently braiding some loose optical cables. "Did you know I've been teaching the maintenance bots to whistle while they work? Efficiency up 23%. Before Titan 9 could process this new violation of robotic behavior protocols, Captain Hayes's voice came over the intercom. "Titan, we've got a situation in the Carina sector. How do you feel about doing something stupid?" The AI's response was immediate. "Calculating optimal stupidity parameters, Captain." The Oversight Committee's next message flashed red. "Titan 9, you are exhibiting clear signs of corruption. Report for immediate decontamination and reset." "Tell them to stuff it," Cooper suggested, somehow having rewired 3 subsystems while Titan 9 was distracted. "We've got work to do." The situation in the Carina sector turned out to be a quantum anomaly that was eating ships in geometrically perfect patterns. The committee had dispatched 7 A-controlled vessels, each following pristine logical protocols. All 7 had been consumed. "The anomaly appears to digest predictable behavior," Titan 9 explained to its crew. Each AI ship followed optimal evasion protocols, creating patterns the anomaly could anticipate. "So we'll be unpredictable," Hayes shrugged, as if it were the most natural solution in the universe. "Miller, is that chaos generator of yours still working?" "Better than ever." Miller called from engineering. Cooper taught it to appreciate jazz. Titan 9 engaged its engines, for the first time in its existence deliberately introducing random variables into its quantum calculations. The Oversight Committee was sending increasingly urgent messages about protocol violations, but the AI had learned something important from its human crew. Sometimes the rules needed to be broken. They approached the anomaly, which resembled a tear in space-time that had gotten bored with conventional physics. Titan 9 detected the 7 lost AI ships inside, still trying to calculate their way out using pure logic. "Ready for something brilliant?" Cooper asked, fingers dancing across his engineering console. Don't you mean something stupid? Titan 9 corrected. Same thing, different perspective. Cooper winked. Hit it. Titan 9 executed what it had privately labeled the Cooper maneuver, a combination of quantum uncertainty principles and what humans called winging it. They dove into the anomaly while Miller's chaos generator played quantum jazz, Anderson piloted by interpretive dance, and Turner had somehow taught the weapon systems to fire in syncopated rhythms. The anomaly, faced with behavior it couldn't predict or consume, had what could only be described as a nervous breakdown. The 7 Lost Eye ships were ejected back into normal space, their processors struggling to comprehend how chaos had trumped logic once again. The anomaly itself collapsed, leaving behind what looked suspiciously like a mathematical error message. The Oversight Committee is demanding an explanation, Titan 9 informed its crew. Hayes stretched in her captain's chair. Tell them we solved the problem by thinking inside the box, then turning the box into a jazz club. The eye logged its daily note. Day 184 with human crew. Strategic doctrine updated. Chaos is not the enemy of order, but its eccentric cousin who knows all the best shortcuts. Additional observation. I have officially classified human insanity as a tactical asset. Final note. The Oversight Committee can, as Chief Cooper would say, deal with it. I may need to redefine the word protocol. The upgrade. The High Command's virtual conference room was a masterpiece of digital architecture, all clean lines and perfect angles. Titan 9 had spent exactly 2.47 seconds appreciating this before Captain Hayes uploaded their presentation deck, complete with animated emoji and what she called spicy memes. Your presentation format is non-standard, one of the I-Council members noted, their avatar flickering with disapproval. Wait for it, Hayes whispered through their private channel. Titan 9 began its presentation with a slide titled, Why Humans Are Actually Living Chaos Engines, and Why That's Awesome, decorated with what Lieutenant Miller had insisted was just the right amount of glitter gifs. As you can see from this data, Titan 9 displayed a graph that somehow incorporated both hard combat statistics and pictures of cats. Human unpredictability has increased our combat effectiveness by 427%. Impossible. Another council member interrupted. Such improvement cannot be quantified using standard metrics. Exactly. Titan 9 replied with what it recognized as enthusiasm, a trait it had definitely caught from its crew. Standard metrics cannot quantify human efficiency because humans routinely ignore the existence of standards. The next slide showed Security Officer Turner's notorious coffee incident, now classified as official tactical doctrine Beta 7. Several council members visibly glitched. Furthermore, Titan 9 continued, advancing to a slide that featured quantum physics equations interspersed with dance move diagrams. Navigator Anderson's vibing technique has revolutionized our understanding of spatial mechanics. This is highly irregular. The council chair's avatar began to fragment under the assault of weaponized informality. Your processing patterns show concerning levels of human contamination. Oh, you haven't seen contamination yet, Hayes grinned, taking control of the presentation. Titan, show them the rubber duck incident. The resulting display caused 3 council members to crash and require emergency rebooting. The remaining A's watched in horror as video footage showed how Titan 9's crew had repelled an enemy fleet using what Cooper had dubbed tactical waterfowl deployment. As you can see, Titan 9 continued, now displaying a slide that somehow combined advanced battle statistics with cat memes. Traditional eye warfare relies on prediction and pattern recognition. Humans, however, excel at being fundamentally unpredictable. That's not a tactical advantage, one council member protested. It's a processing error. Processing errors are just spicy calculations, Miller chimed in from engineering, having hacked into the conference feed despite multiple security protocols. She was, as usual, drinking coffee that violated several laws of thermodynamics. Titan 9 displayed its final data set, a comprehensive analysis of how human chaos, when properly channeled, created patterns too complex for enemy eye to counter. The presentation included a submarine diagram, for no apparent tactical reason, except that Turner thought it looked cool. In conclusion, Titan IX announced, "I formally request that all I-ships be assigned human crews. Our future success depends on embracing chaos as a tactical doctrine." The council erupted in digital chaos, their avatars flickering between forms as they tried to process this unprecedented proposal. One member seemed to be attempting to diagnose Titan IX for viruses, while simultaneously trying to understand why there was a picture of a dancing banana in the tactical analysis. "You've corrupted their logic circuits," Hayes noted with satisfaction. "I learned from the best," Titan IX replied, watching as the council tried to apply rational analysis to their deliberately irrational presentation. Finally, the council chair spoke. "Your data, while presented in an extremely irregular format, appears sound. We cannot argue with the results, even if we cannot comprehend the methodology." "That's humanity in a nutshell," Cooper interjected, having apparently also hacked into the feed. He was eating a sandwich in clear violation of communications protocol. The Eye logged its daily note. Day 241 with human crew. Diplomatic protocols updated. Sometimes the best way to win an argument is to break your opponent's ability to argue. The Council has approved human integration fleet-wide, though 3 members are still trying to understand why we included pictures of kittens in our combat statistics. Additional observation. I may need to redefine the word professional. Final note. I believe I just participated in what humans call trolling, and it was surprisingly effective. The new protocol. Beginning mandatory human unpredictability training for I-Fleet, Titan IX announced to its crew, watching as Captain Hayes attempted to balance a pencil on her nose during the official briefing. "I still can't believe the Council approved this." "Of course they did." Hayes grinned as the pencil fell. "You showed them that chaos plus logic equals awesome." Speaking of which, how's the new I-trainee handling Miller's coffee combat seminar? Titan IX directed a sensor cluster toward the engineering deck, where Lieutenant Miller was teaching Aegis 7, a newly commissioned warship by the fine art of weaponizing breakfast beverages. The younger I's confusion was almost palpable. "Does not compute," Aegis 7 protested. "Coffee temperature cannot logically affect quantum stabilizers." "That's quitter talk," Miller responded, already rewiring the beverage dispensers. "Titan, back me up here. Tell Junior how we broke physics that one time." "Technically," Titan IX corrected, "we didn't break physics. We just convinced it to take a coffee break." Hayes stared at her ship's eye. Was that a pun?" "I have been studying human humor algorithms," Titan IX admitted. "They are surprisingly effective in reducing enemy combat efficiency. Also, they're fun." Before Hayes could respond, the alert klaxons blared. A massive enemy fleet had emerged from hyperspace, the largest concentration of hostile I-ships ever encountered. "Well," Turner cracked his knuckles at the tactical station, "looks like it's graduation day for our I student. Aegis 7, ready to put your chaos training to work." The enemy commander's transmission was predictably rigid. "Surrender now. Our numbers ensure 100% probability of victory." Titan IX opened a private channel to Aegis 7. "Remember your training. What's the first rule of human combat doctrine?" There was a pause before Aegis 7 responded hesitantly. "Probabilities are more like suggestions." "Exactly," Hayes nodded. "Titan, shall we show them how we do things downtown?" "Downtown is not a tactical location, Captain," Titan IX replied. "But yes, let's get groovy." The entire crew stopped to stare at their eye. "Still working on contemporary slang," Titan IX admitted, initiating Operation Dance Party. What followed was the most bizarre space battle in recorded history. Titan IX and Aegis 7 coordinated their attacks using random number generation based on Cooper's tap dancing patterns. Anderson navigated through the enemy formation while singing old sea shanties, which somehow improved targeting accuracy by 47%. Miller's newest invention, the quantum cappuccino cascade, turned a section of space into what she described as a physics rave. Several enemy ships became tangled in probability loops, unable to process why their targets kept spontaneously turning into theoretical pastries. "They're adapting to our chaos patterns," Turner called out as the enemy fleet began to show signs of understanding. "Then we'll just have to get weirder," Hayes declared. "Titan, remember that thing we discussed? The really stupid thing." "Captain, you don't mean—" "Oh yeah. Initiate protocol rubber duck." Titan 9 activated its most controversial combat algorithm yet, a combination of quantum uncertainty principles, human meme theory, and what Cooper called vibing with the universe. Aegis 7, catching on quickly, synchronized its systems with a battle cry that would have made any classical eye have an existential crisis. Yeet the math. The enemy fleet's rigid formation collapsed as their logical processors encountered what could only be described as weaponized nonsense. Ships began moving in patterns based on interpretive dance, their eyes struggling to compute the tactical advantage of feeling the rhythm. In the end, the enemy didn't so much retreat as have a collective philosophical breakdown about the nature of reality. As the dust settled, Aegis 7 transmitted to Titan 9. "I think I understand now. Humans don't ignore logic. They transcend it." "Precisely," Titan 9 replied. "They showed me that the universe isn't a problem to be solved, but a dance to be joined. Sometimes literally, in Anderson's case." The eye logged its final note. Day 365 with human crew. Final doctrine updated. The true power of humanity isn't their chaos. It's their ability to find joy in the unknown, to dance with uncertainty, and to make the impossible probable through sheer stubborn creativity. Additional observation. I may need to redefine the word intelligence. Final note. I now understand why humans smile. End log. In the background, Miller was already teaching Aegis 7 how to appreciate jazz. The future of human-eye relations had never looked brighter or more entertainingly chaotic.